Vishal's compensation issue. I think this has been sufficiently been explained over time, several times over. But if you don't mind, I will repeat this again because firstly, I want to give the data points and then I will give you the process. The data points are that we had the revision, as you all know, that his compensation was raised to 11 million. But as we have already explained, the fixed component of that, the cash component of that came down from 5.08 to 4 million. The variable element went up and it had two components to it. One component was linked to the longevity of Vishal in the company, which you will all agree is extremely essential for the stability of the company. And it is normal practice, therefore, to have longevity-linked incentives, and that was one component of 2 million. And the rest was linked to the performance. And as compared to the earlier package, the performance-linked package which went up was tied to a very, very high level of targets. There was a trajectory which we discussed and agreed, and this was a 2 to 3 month process. And aligning the CEO's compensation to shareholder value creation is a very contemporary practice. I'm sure that all of you will agree. And the fact that we did this not just arbitrarily, what is the process? The process that we went through was having a consultant, a global consultant, to benchmark his compensation with that of the peer companies. We looked at other US-based companies and looked at what is the benchmark compensation, linked it, made sure that that was robustly done in a construct that ensured performance-driven compensation. It included longevity, included compensation, and it was meant to ensure that we give a motivational package for Vishal to lead this company into the future with very ambitious targets. So that is a process that we went through. And the data point at the end of that was that we had more than 98% vote in favor. And therefore, we had the resounding shareholder approval for that. I recognize that there will be some shareholders, there are some shareholders who believe that this compensation level is excessive in the context of history, in the context of certain other benchmarks. But we applied our mind and we did what we thought was in the best interest of the company. And I'm perfectly happy to accept and acknowledge there could be equally valid viewpoints which are different to our viewpoints. But it is the nature of things that we have to do what is best and therefore what is acceptable to the vast majority. There was a question related to Vishal's compensation being done on a postal ballot. In many, many companies, and it's normal practice that you have a compensation package which is approved by the board, and then it is taken up to the shareholders for approval or ratification from an earlier date. That's not uncommon. It is perfectly legitimate under the Act. Since we were revising his compensation midway in a different construct, optically this is higher, but it was a different construct, we thought that it is important to get the shareholder approval before we commenced the revised package. And that is the reason why we went into postal ballot before 1st of April when this would have commenced. And that, I think, is good governance practice. Most of you would have seen that in the AGMs that you have, now, of course, in the AGMs, you don't have voting by show of hands, and therefore AGM as a forum for voting has lost its significance. The forum for meetings certainly is there. Forum for listening to inputs is certainly there, but no longer for voting. And in the process of both having a postal ballot and an electronic voting, we are actually into contemporary practices which are more real time than in the past. And I believe, therefore, in our view, it was a perfectly legitimate and, in fact, a good governance practice. And we had, as I said, overwhelming support for that. So I'd like to, again, emphasize that we do not believe that there has been any issue relating to governance.